So she did become a deer. And then when she got home, she announced, "I'm home, dear." Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves was written and directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, who did films such as Vacation and Game Night. Also written by Michael Giglio, who did Quick Stop, not to be confused with the Quickie Mart. Who needs a Quickie Mart? The Quickie Mart is real too! Who needs a Quickie Mart? I do. Who needs a Quickie Mart? Who needs the Quickie Mart? Who needs the Quickie Mart? Not me! And was also written by Chris McKay, who did the Lego Batman movie and the Tomorrow War. Tomorrow War, not Tomorrowland, the Tomorrow War. I still need to get around to watching. But this stars Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Regé-Jean Page, pretty certain I probably butchered that, I do apologize, Justice Smith, and Sophia Lillis, who was in It! She was the only girl in the movie, by the way, or at least the only girl that was a main speaking character there. She was great in It! And also one of the good parts in Gretel and Hansel. Hugh Grant is in this. Chloe Coleman, who is recently in 65. 65 wasn't good. Chloe Coleman is quite a good child actress. And also Daisy Head. I promise you all, I was not laughing at that last name. How dare you all accuse me of that, but Daisy Head has actually been good in other stuff. And this is based on, wait for it. Gonna blow your mind. Sit down. Sit. Dungeons & Dragons, the popular written out board type game thing. It depends on what format. A role-playing game where you can do a whole bunch of stuff. You can roll die, a bunch of head of die and everything, and possibly take a head off a goddamn troll and everything. I don't play D&D, but a lot of people do. My best friend plays D&D. And he enjoys it. A lot of people really enjoy it. And honestly, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves had a steep hill to climb because, yes, there's the cartoon. I actually totally forgot about the cartoon. And there are a few neat little Dungeons & Dragons Easter eggs as far as, people that are big fans. But Dungeons & Dragons, from 2000, that had Jeremy Irons, Thora Birch, and a few other people. Remember that incredibly ass Dungeons & Dragons movie that was really apocalyptically bad? And they paid Jeremy Irons a goddamn king's ransom because I believe he bought a castle and he needed to pay for it. Well, he bought something, he needed to pay for it, and I don't goddamn blame him. He took that, but yeah, that movie was really bad. And when I saw this trailer, I'm like, holy shit, this looks really bad. Like the human it doesn't look like they even tried with this. It looks messy, it looks weird. They're trying to go the comedy route. This isn't going to work. It was all chopped together and all weird and everything. But the story, such as it is, a thief, played by Chris Pine, and his band of merry misfits, including Holga, played by Michelle Rodriguez, they go out on an adventure to basically save the world when there is a malevolent force that is coming down upon this particular kingdom. And they must try to just solve this mystery before they're all history. Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves tale, woohoo. Boy, that was really goddamn lengthy. But yes, a pretty damn good cast that I just listed there. Quite a bit of good, B to even possible A-list talent, because Chris Pine's been in a lot of good stuff. Don't Worry, Darling notwithstanding, because that was really bad, but it wasn't his fault. Nobody could have saved that. But could anything save this movie? Because honestly, after Dungeons & Dragons 2000, could anything save this? Could anything save this movie that's a beefy 134 minutes? Yes, it's over 2 hours. All this stuff, all the things against it and everything, and the fact it's hard to sometimes turn a role-playing game into a successful movie. The Warcraft movie. That didn't go all that well. Just so many of these sword and sorcery movies and everything, that well ran dry a while ago, and they keep trying to goddamn, get back to it. They keep trying to make some fun ones, but nobody's really done a fun one in a while. So Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. How is it? I'm going to say, more please. More please. Wait, that's not big enough. More please. More of this. Give me more. Give me all these bowls full of this stuff. More of this. So quote Kylo Ren, more. What a fucking entertaining spectacle this was. This was really goddamn entertaining. I did not expect to say that going into this. This was really fun. Really fun. The writing worked, even though there were 4 damn people that wrote this. I mean, a couple of people wrote the story. A couple of people wrote the screenplay. You would have thought with that many fingers in the goddamn pie, it would have gotten out of hand, but they hit the perfect tone. Does it reinvent the wheel? No. Is it a lot of stuff you've seen before? Sure. Could the comedy be construed as being just, hitting you over the head with in references and all that stuff? Sure. Can a person that's not into D&D get into this? Abso-goddamn-lutely. This is just like the entertaining 70s sword and sorcery movies, the 80s. I would put this up there with Willow, and I love Willow. I thought this was great. I did not expect to say that. I had fun. Yes, me. I had fun. This was fun. It didn't even feel like it drug on for the over 2 hours, and that's what really worried me. But everything about this clicked. It absolutely clicked. They nailed it. They goddamn nailed it from beginning to end. They got it, even some good emotion out of this goddamn thing. They got great humor out of it. The timing, the special effects, while not necessarily the greatest on this earth, had love and care put into them, and the movie was breezy and fun and entertaining, and I enjoyed it. And again, I emphasize more, please. Seriously, make a goddamn sequel. Throw money at whoever funded this before. Well, actually, that would be redundant. Whoever funded this, throw more money at the filmmakers so they can make another one of these. I'm not saying crank it out without putting love and care into it, but considering that this movie had such a steep hill to climb, it was so entertaining, so fun, and so well written, and even pretty well acted, I'll say. Again, not reinventing the wheel, and sure, all the character arcs are basic, but it's good, and it takes its time establishing these characters, and my god, they made this good. If only they could have made Dungeons & Dragons from 2000 this good. Because that one was just bad and laughable for all the wrong reasons. This is laughable because you're laughing at the fact that it's funny and enjoyable and good. A Dungeons & Dragons movie that was actually good. My god, they're taking board games, video games, they're turning this whole damn thing around. They're actually managing to make these movies fun. In about a week, the Mario Brothers movie comes out. Can't wait for that one. This is the kind of shit you could go to the goddamn theater for. This hit, at times, it not quite as good as The Princess Bride, but it kind of hit a few of the notes. It was really fun. It had just a breezy, great pace to it. It was great. It was great stuff. Like, Chris Pine's character, he isn't always great in everything he's in, but like 75% of the time, he was great as Kirk in the new Star Trek series of movies that they did. Michelle Rodriguez, I mean, I've never been the biggest fan of Michelle Rodriguez, but she was good in the first Resident Evil and has been good in other stuff. I mean, the Fast and Furious franchise, which has gone on forever, but Michelle Rodriguez, pretty damn entertaining, can play pretty good badass. Regé Jean Page, who plays a character named Zank, I believe is how it's said, or Ank. They say a lot of these names differently and everything, so I'm just really going to go by the actors' names, but it's just so good. It's just so good. He plays a paladin. There's Simon, who Justice Smith plays. He's a sorcerer. Chris Pine's character, Edgin, he is a guy that, honor among thieves. He ends up being a thief, and basically he tried to give his wife and his child a good life, but unfortunately his wife met an unfortunate end, and Holga came into his life, and they're like brother and sister because she helped raise this child, named Kira, played later by Chloe Coleman. And then there's also Forge, played by Hugh Grant, and Dory, played by Sophia Lillis. And there's just a lot of, and then there's another, red mage, red wizard, as it were, depending on what you want to say. Sophina, played by Daisy Head, and there's just a lot of really good character work here and a lot of entertainment. And no, you don't really have to try hard to figure out who the villains actually are, and the story stays on a fairly linear path, but the acting is actually up to snuff. They actually put care into this. They put love and attention into this. I can't praise that enough. I was enjoying the hell out of this. Again, more, please. More of this. That's an old bowl, by the way. An old bowl that's been used for a lot of baking mixes. That being said, you get great fights, too. The fights were actually well done. Yes, it was done with some CGI stuff, but Michelle Rodriguez had this great fight with a bunch of knights at one point in an alleyway. Chris Pine was sort of bumbling but was well-intentioned, and Hugh Grant being at his most... Hugh Grant's had a bit of a career resurgence also, even if, Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre wasn't exactly great. He was fine in it. That was a movie that attempted to be funny and didn't nail it at all, and this movie actually nailed the comedy perfectly, and Ruse de Guerre came out earlier this month. By God, it's already out on streaming. This should do quite well, because I was able to see a sneak peek of this. I probably should have said that near the beginning, but nevertheless, that's how I'm able to crank out this review, because a theater near me had a sneak peek. So I decided, to heck with it. About a week ago, bought a ticket, and I'm so happy I did. Theater is pretty full, one of the smaller theaters, but still pretty packed, and very entertaining. This is definitely an audience precipitation. Yes, the audience is getting all wet with anticipation. Or perspiration, getting this close to The Rock. But the audience, basically audience inclusion, I'm just going to say that because I'm struggling with words, was just really, really needed for a movie like this. Again, it's not something that's going to reinvent the wheel. It's not something that you haven't seen before. But the right tone, the right twist, it ends up being really entertaining. And it's nice to see that Sophia Lillis has been able to be in other movies and maybe play more grown-up stuff after being in It and then Gretel and Hansel, which showed that she could have some range, but that movie also was kind of boring. This, she was able to show some comedy and show, more of her acting. Justice Smith did a really good job as Simon the sorcerer that has doubts about his own character, and everybody goes through a certain arc that shows that they have progression. And goddamn, I believe Bradley Cooper was even in this for a little bit. You recognize him. And if he's not Bradley Cooper, he's damn close to rock and roll. Or close enough for rock and roll, that is. It's entertaining. It's entertaining as hell. Sure, okay, some of the CGI is a little, I don't want to say dodgy, but I think sometimes they stretched it a little bit. And you could argue that since this has all been done before, but it's so goddamn entertaining, you can't help but just really, really enjoy what the hell's going on. And yeah, the movie does have, the movie has a lot of really, really good comedy to it. I mean, the chemistry alone, like there's so much chemistry here, you're half expecting the lab to blow up. They absolutely just had, you could tell they had a blast doing this. The stunt work was really well done. For the most part, CGI was well done. Fight scenes, a lot of great stuff. A lot of entertainment here. Even if none of the characters were really ever in danger, that's, I guess, the one kind of quibble. You don't really sense that any of these characters are ever really in danger. And sometimes certain characters will just pop in just to push the plot along a little bit. But it ends up just hitting all the high notes. You can overlook any of the flaws that the movie has. I'm going to get into spoilers. The spoilers really aren't going to matter all that much, just so you know, because the movie pretty much lays all its goddamn cards or lays all its dice out on the table there. So, yeah, it's in theaters in a few days. I was able to see the sneak peek. That was pretty goddamn good. But if you get a chance to see a sneak peek of a movie like this, it doesn't hurt. Audience participation. There's the word. Yay! I got it. Yay. That education in Marysville Pill Truck certainly helped me. If you get a chance to be around a big audience, you can find yourself really laughing at this, and uproariously funny and entertaining and well written, and actually hit some good emotional strings there. Kind of like Willow, even if this movie was a little more comedic. That being said, let's get into spoilers. So 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Okay, spoilers now. Okay, so it starts with Holga and Edgen, Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez, since the names, the characters seem to be kind of escaping me. It starts with them in jail. They break out of jail, even though they were going to be pardoned. And from there, we have an adventure where they get the band back together. Chris Pine tells this story about all these people, and they tried to find this relic. And it turns out they got screwed over by Hugh Grant's Forge. Ha, good God, y'all, what is it good for? And Sophina, played by Daisy Head, who's a red wizard, red mage, one of the evil ones. She's bald and she's got all the magic. They get the band back together. They find Simon. He's performing magic tricks just for little money. They get him there. They get Sophia Lillis to go along, who's you know who's among elves, doesn't really trust humans, and Forge is basically trying to forge his way through and destroy the elves' lands because they're speaking out against him. He is suddenly a lord because it's been 2 years since all this stuff happened with them being screwed over. And Forge took charge and took hold of Kira, who, the daughter. And also there was this artifact that they were looking for, along with something that would revive Chris Pine's wife, the mother of, Kira. But he does manage to find that, but at the same time, Forge has filled Kira's head with so many goddamn lies that when they finally meet, it turns out that Forge is the villain and working with Sophina to basically get all the riches, and then she'll take over the city. Why is she going to take over the city? Because there was this ancient red mage guy, Tam, something like that, or whatever. They say his full name like once. He brought around a blood ritual that turned a bunch of people into the undead and the undead army, and they did this. And then Regis Jean Page, who's a paladin now, saw that firsthand when his parents were taken, and they tried to take him, and now he's got all these powers, and they all band together as Man and Merry Misfits. And Chris Pine keeps trying to come up with ways to help, but he keeps constantly screwing up because he has to try and understand that he needs to do stuff not just for riches, but also to do the right thing. And that kind of got him in trouble because his wife ended up getting killed because he tried to take something away from the mages, and then they marked their treasure, and then he wasn't at home and the mother died. But the baby was safe because she managed to store the baby inside the wall. They're in your walls, folks! And some entertaining stuff happens after that. We find out that Holga was dating a really, really small guy, and but she couldn't get over the fact she was cast out of her village for marrying this guy. But then he's married somebody better and bigger, literally. Like, she's like 20 feet tall compared to him. And that's because she couldn't get over her emotional distress. She couldn't get over a whole lot of stuff. And she was in jail for 2 years and could have been presumed dead. So why not remarry? And from there, Chris Pine is looking desperately for this artifact because he wants to bring the mother of his daughter back. But Holga had helped raise Kira also, and she saw her as more of a mother. And Simon's also struggling with his confidence. He likes Sophia Lillis' character, but his attempt to court her before didn't work. And all this stuff and this magic and might and magic and all that and rolling the die and all. They didn't roll the dice. They didn't roll any dice in this one. I think I would have been too goddamn on the nose. But there's a really, really cool scene with a giant fat dragon, like about halfway through the movie. That's quite, a little over halfway through the movie. That's quite entertaining. Oh, that's a big dragon. Did he eat the other one? And they got to race through, this one area. They find this staff, this magic staff that creates a portal. And then you get the AI program that says, like I was when you murdered me, you what? Portal reference. You didn't expect that one, did you? And from there, maybe that was a Halo game, but from there, they're trying to just they're just trying to get back, take down Forge, but also they got to take down this evil, Sophina, who's so goddamn bad. She is going to recreate the same ritual that created this undead army and help, and basically got these, all these red devils, so to speak, looked at like, what the hell's wrong with you? So from there, they sneak around, they do some good stuff to try and, get these riches, get all this other stuff. Eventually, they get trapped in this maze for these big old games, like the Hunger Games, and various other people get there, including the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon crew that eagle-eyed people will recognize. Not Eagle-Eyed Cherry, because we're not saving tonight at break of dawn. Gone tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be gone, and I totally screwed that up. But they're trying to get through this maze. There's weird panthers with Venus flytrap stuff on them for some goddamn reason. Might, magic, and coolness. And then they end up saving the day. They get Forge's treasures out and pour them out to the people. because the Paladin, Xenk, he basically said, hey, you swear upon this book, share the riches with the people, I believe that you'll do the right thing. And he did. He did all that, and he got all the people away from that, so Daisy Head couldn't do the blood ritual. No, I get to get Phil the janitor? I don't want Phil the janitor. Hey. And then she has a magic battle with Simon, realizes his full magic potential. The two magic people had gotten these bands on them that, binded their magic while they were in the maze. Then one got freed, so they could get out. And then they decide, finally, Kira joins. Kira had this invisibility pendant as part of plot convenience to tie into the end here. They had this big old fight, then suddenly she showed up and put the magic thing around Daisy Head's wrist, and that binded her, and then Sophia Lillis had transformed into a weird wolf owl creature and just beaten the shit. It's kind of like watching an owl version of the polar bear from the Golden Compass beat up somebody, and just did all this and beating it. It was kind of like Hulk throwing around Loki. It was kind of like that. And from there, it looks like everything's going to be fine, but oh no, Holga's dead. No, not Holga. And he's got that amulet thing, whatever. He'll only use it once. He's going to go resurrect his wife. But flashbacks to when Holga was basically the mom that Kira needed, even if she wasn't her blood relative. They resurrect her. Actually pretty emotional. Actually pretty well done. I was actually almost shedding a tear there because I was invested. And it was good stuff. They resurrect her, and she's like, oh, don't tell me you used that on me. But, it was good. And Hugh Grant's in jail. the character, not the actor. Maybe the actor was in jail at some point. I don't remember. And then, there we go. We get one credit scene with Corpse, where earlier they were trying to find this particular helmet, and they resurrected people. And could ask them 5 questions, then they would die again forevermore. And one was still alive. He's like, could anybody ask me one more question so I can go? And then there you go. If there was anything after that, I don't remember. I had to get out of there. But this was really, really entertaining. A really entertaining film from beginning to end. Did not expect to say that. A. Very surprised. Very surprised. I mean, again, I'm not going to say A+, but I'm going to say A. Because it was really, fuck it, A+. I'll say A+. Why not? I'll go A+. Let's have fun. I've been kind of cruel this year. A+. Again, more, please. They need to pump out a sequel soon. They need to put love and care into this, throw money at the filmmakers, and make sure they get one out by 2025. Just have fun. Make it as breezy and as fun as this. Don't try to, be in on the joke. Just have fun. A+. Agree, disagree what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.